Alright, so the angle is going to be absolutely stupid for this video because it's 32 degrees outside, and every time I hold my phone in the light, it overheats immediately. Like, fucking, I have it in a life-proof case, so I think honestly that's probably the reason why there's no ventilation at all. But speaking of ventilation, I'm going to ventilate my thoughts upon you guys today. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about, but I kind of like doing this. It's sort of like a little mental obstacle course where I'm trying to like dig deep in myself and almost verbally journal what I'm thinking. I'm gonna go stoner as fuck today. I have a concept. So I'm gonna dive into some emotional shit, understanding shit. I'm just gonna start because honestly, I'm just procrastinating. Once you start, honestly, you start getting into like a zone almost. And I think this is like what people say about flow states and shit, where it's like, you kind of start something you don't really want to, and then all of a sudden 10 minutes has gone by and your video's done, and you're like, what the fuck happened? How did I do this? So now I'm going on a ramble about that. The 4 people watching this have already stopped watching it. And if you're not finished watching this, just in spite of that comment, that's the whole plan. So, here we go. How much do you understand about anything? At all? Ever? Ever? Really? Think about it. Think about everything that you base your beliefs upon. So, do you really know why any of that stuff's true? Really? Like, think about it. You could say, well, the sky's blue. Okay, that's something you can actually prove because you look at it, it's blue. But then you're like, wait. Why is it blue? Oh, it's the atmosphere. Well, how does that work? Well, it's light refracting off of it, and then there's something to do with the way it hits, where the light's reflected to your eye with only blue fucking. I don't even know. I don't know why the sky's blue. I thought I did. I really don't. I dove into that. See, learned. But you can see it, so it's kind of one of those things where you're like, well, shit. But then you're like, wait. But then, what is blue? I don't fucking know. It's a color. What's a color? Well, it's light that hits your eye. What the fuck? Whatever color's reflected off of the what the shit. Okay, so then you go into that. Some people know that. I just don't really care about that subject, so I don't really fucking know. And then you're like, but what about other people? How do they see that color? Well, eyes are generally speaking the same, and I imagine our brains aren't too different given we came from the same, fucking same genetic modification of whatever fucking thing we came from. So we could probably conclude that people see stuff, generally speaking, similarly. But then some people are colorblind, and then some people, they probably are like schizophrenic. And then how many variables are there in the sky being blue to other people? And is it all in relation? Does it even matter? I mean, green could be somebody's blue and they wouldn't know, and it doesn't fucking matter. What? It's just the sky's blue. It's blue. See, now look, I'm starting to get a little pissed off because I'm like, well, shit, it's blue. It's just blue. And that's emotions. So emotions exist because we don't really fucking know anything that's going on. The only thing that really unites us is fucking emotions, really, because it's what we can understand when we don't understand something. It's like, well, shit, if I don't understand you, I'll get pissed off, or I'll get confused, or I'll get sad or something. I don't really know. If I don't understand your honesty, let's say you're being stupidly honest about something, which I love, but a lot of people hate, I might just respond angrily, like, oh shit. And they don't even know whether or not that's coming from themselves or other people, because most people don't even understand themselves. I mean, explain addictions. Explain addictions. Well, I mean, that's what happens when you don't understand that what you're doing is an addiction. Probably. I don't really know. It could be different for other people because I only know why I get addicted to shit. I get addicted to shit when I don't really know it's an addiction. I find if I catch it and then I see it as a negative thing, I can solve it pretty fast. But I'm oblivious because I don't understand myself. And then thinking about the whole concept of not understanding things, how well do you think you can understand somebody else? If most people are addicted to one or two things, that means they don't understand themselves. So why would you say you can understand somebody else? Well, let's say you see somebody in a position that's similar to something you've been in and you've conquered, and you say, hey, maybe I can help them get through it because I understand where they're coming from. But do you really understand where they're coming from? You could say, well, shit, I got into a food eating disorder because I was emotional because my boyfriend left me, so I can help this person get out of it. But maybe they're just simply in it because of habit, maybe ritual. Some people are into shit just because of rituals, like, oh shit, I've done this the day before that, so maybe I'm doing it tomorrow. and the day after. And you know what? It's not really an addiction, it's a habit. But people get addicted to habits. A good example is when I got addicted to weed. Well, people would say, well, weed's not addictive. Yeah, but I was addicted to the habit of weed. I hated it. I fucking hated weed. Every time I smoked weed, I would literally hallucinate and feel like I was dying. But then the next day I was like, well, I did it the night before, so I'm just gonna do it again. And I'll do it again tomorrow, and I'll do it again after that, and I'll just keep doing it. Like, why would I stop? And the why would I stop thing's dangerous, because even if something's not inherently chemically addictive, it can get people addicted to shit that they might not even be addicted to, which is fucked. But having a habit and a ritual is something that can also be used to benefit people, but a lot of people don't understand that. See, I'm addicted to habits, so if I get in a good habit and I get in a good routine, it benefits me. But sometimes it's hard to draw the line between which is a good and a bad habit and which is a good and a bad routine. Like, okay, let's say you get into the habit of, doing something pretty boring, like going out shopping, going home, going to the gym, whatever, playing video games, going to sleep, going to work, whatever. You get into the habit of that. I mean, most people are in the habit of something along those lines. They go to work, they go home, they do something, then they repeat it for the rest of their entire fucking lives. Well, that's an addiction, because let's say you're doing the same thing every single day for your entire life. You're not really living. You're addicted to habit more than you are life. And it's hard to get addicted to life because most people don't understand what life is. It's why people get emotional when people bring up the term life. And you should live life. You should do something. It's like, well, you don't understand my definition of living. I don't understand my definition of living. That's why I'm not living my life. It's like, well, shit. So now we don't even understand ourselves. We don't understand people. The only thing we can really understand is emotions. But even still, my happiness can be somebody's depression in relation. It's hard to really draw contrast because it doesn't matter. Regardless of whether or not my happiness is so awesome, it's still happiness to me. So that is the one thing we can kind of come together on, is emotions. So when something breaks logic, emotions takes over. And that's why most habits and addictions are probably emotional driven. But at the same time, I don't understand what I'm saying. This is just all dogma. This is stuff that I've kind of regurgitated through kind of my own preconceptions and the way I view things. But the way somebody else views things can be completely different. Somebody could see addictions as addictions. Just, oh, well, they're just addicted. They're addicted. They don't go much deeper than that. And some people can see it way deeper in a way that I can't comprehend. And when I can't comprehend something, a lot of the times I'll see it as wrong, when it's probably not. Because everybody's right in their own heads. I mean, fucking even murderers, people that shoot up schools and shit. People do things because it's justified to them. And it's hard, to penalize it when you think this way, because you're like, well, shit, they were just doing what they thought was right, regardless of how wrong it is. And that's why morals are something that you kind of have to have a good grasp upon, because morals are what help you from getting out of addictions. Morals are what help you, it's ironic as fuck that I'm going to bring this up, because understanding is something I'm talking about. But the Bible, I mean, shit, all the sins, bro. The sins are shit that you don't understand about yourself. You get into a greed loop and you're all of a sudden buying nothing but materialistic objects and getting the nicest things, and you don't really understand why you're doing it, but you feel so empty unless you get that new iPhone. You get that new iPhone and then all of a sudden you're empty because you want to get the new iPhone, but it's not out yet, and you feel like you're in limbo for about 4 years until something else comes and strikes your mind. It's like, fuck, everybody is missing something. Everybody is missing something, and that's where the addictions come in. It's the void. People say this all the time. Everybody has a fucking... And that's just because everybody doesn't understand themselves. And it's just an emotional void. And that's what I mean by, emotions are where the line is drawn by when you don't understand something. I'm going nowhere with this, by the way, because I can't. I can't go anywhere more with this conversation because it's something that I don't understand. And I'm not sure if a lot of people do. I'm sure there's a psychology textbook out there that'll go into it, but even still, that's hearsay. I read that and it's just kind of like whatever somebody else said. I'm going to believe it because that's the only way you don't go fucking crazy. Because when you start trying to put logic behind everything and filling all the emotional voids with logic, well, then everything loses meaning. And when everything loses meaning, it's fucking even more depressing. And then there's the biggest void ever. You get devoided of all emotions. You become logical. And that in itself is emotional. It is, you don't understand anything because you've tried to understand everything and realize nothing makes sense. And you can't cure that. And that's why being a person is fucking confusing. I mean, you think a fucking rabbit thinks this shit? No, they're just hopping around. They do what they do. And I think maybe, honestly, people should just do what they do. and that is living life. But people are addicted to habit, and maybe habit is part of living life, and that's something I just don't really understand yet. See, this is why I'm talking about these subjects so confusingly, is because I'm 20. I don't really fucking understand. This is almost a cry for help, because I have been down all of these rabbit holes myself in my 20 years, and that's saying something, because, you know, I fucking have been on this planet for a fucking millisecond. I don't know shit all. There's old people out there that have been through this, they've been around this, they've been left and right, and every single one of them just says, be happy. And that is something I have yet to understand, which makes me sad, which I also don't understand. And honestly, this is where you get into a point where everything becomes abstract and nothing has logic. And things like unjustified sadness, rage, anger, all these things start coming back again. It's when you go down too into the logical side of things, and then you just realize, shit. But the thing about this is, you can also dive into some positive emotions, and I've toyed with this. I become a little bit insane, but if you don't really give a shit about how insane you are, then who cares? Not giving a shit and having faith and believing in yourself is something that's super important, but it doesn't make sense. It's like an emotional void that's good, and it's something to do with living, but I have no understanding of that either. So that in itself is now making me sad, because I can't understand how to do that. And it's something that will come eventually, I imagine, with age. I mean, if I keep thinking about something, it might work, right? But I can't understand it. I just gotta be emotional about it. Anyway, that was a fucking tangent and a half. I don't really know where I went with that. There was no real conclusion. But that's kind of ironic given the subject matter of this whole rant. And I'm sorry for talking like an absolute sociopath for this entire thing. I'm just kind of, you know, really kind of heavily thinking about this as I'm going upon it. It's not something that's too, you know, comfortable in my head, if I'm being honest. It's a topic that really kind of, and that's why I'm able to rant about this too. It's never just kind of blowing over my shoulder. I'm always kind of trying to understand this. Anyway, if anybody has any insight onto this kind of thought, because, you know, I'm imagining a lot of people think this to my understanding. I don't know, shit. Say some shit in the comments. I might read it. I might not. I'll read it. If you say something, I'll read it. Because I'm open to shit. Anyway. Oh, I had my thumb over this shit the entire time. Fuck. Bye.